All right, everybody. Thursday Q&A episode today. We're going to be answering one listener question. This is a really good one that was actually submitted through our social media accounts. I think he sent it on Facebook from a guy named Joseph. So we're going to be covering that along with some hunts and some other things we got going on. Jacob, what's up?
Doing well. Feeling a little spicy.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. How long have you been waiting to say that?
2 weeks.
So, you bought that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You've been waiting 2 weeks.
Yeah, I forgot to bring it.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you told me that you had a good snake story.
Oh, good reminder. Do we want to start with that, or you want to wait?
All right, let's do the Q&A first, then we're going to get to the snake story. Can't talk. Dude, I'm telling you, I took a nap in the woods this morning. I woke up with a terrible crick in my neck. I was sleeping on the ground like a corpse. It was not good. We'll talk about it in a minute. All right, this is a question from Joseph. He's from Alabama, and here's his question. He said, "Hey guys, hoping you can provide some advice for a novice turkey hunter. I've been watching all of your videos for the past year, especially the interviews with the old school hunters, and try to become the best woodsman I can be. I also live in Alabama and have been hunting a certain place, which I'm not going to name."
Do we know it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. He names the place he's hunting, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. Yes, we are. It's a very large tract of public, so I know the turkeys are in there, but I can't seem to get one located. I try owl hooting, crow calling, and sometimes later in the morning I try some yelping on a pot call. He said he can't use a mouth call yet, and I still can't hear a gobble. I don't want to run all over the forest since there's other hunters there, and I almost feel like I have a better chance of finding a good spot to sit and soft call every 20 or 30 minutes and hope one makes his way to me. That being said, some people say the tops of ridges, and some people say the creek bottom. My question is this: where's a good starting point for locating silent, heavily pressured birds? I'm not opposed to sitting in the woods and waiting. It's my more preferred method for hunting public, but if I'm going to do that, I need to be where the turkeys want to be. Should I be on the upper third of a ridge or down in a holler close to a creek? Should I be in the big hardwoods or in the pines? Any recommendations would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time and good luck on your next hunt. All right, so I want to start by saying that me and Jacob and most of the people that we know are kind of having the same thing happen to them right now. Just kind of struggling to find gobbling birds. It's been a really slow season, and I'm not just saying this just for me, but most of the guys that I know who typically have a couple birds killed at this point have had kind of a lackluster season. Maybe they've killed one, maybe they've killed two, but I'm talking about guys that are normally tagged out by now, haven't even killed a bird yet. And it's just been, I don't know what the deal is, but it's been a tough season so far for almost every single person I know, at least in the central part of the state where we're hunting. So Jacob, what would you say?
If you're walking a whole bunch or walking at all, the big thing is, and this is what helped me last year, which he says he hasn't even heard turkeys. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. But outside of that is finding areas where you're finding fresh scratching. If you're finding fresh scratching, there's birds probably within hearing distance of you on potentially that day, especially if you find a really fresh scratching. You see the toenail marks in the dirt. It's still real dark. It hasn't dried up yet, the moisture in the earth from where they scratch. That's probably one of the better setups in order to set up and do some blind calling. Getting up on a ridge or down the bottom, it really comes down to like where that scratching sign is. But that, and then also you hear some guys talk about this, and we're finally getting some rain. Finding tracks on closed road beds, gobbler tracks, and or strut marks kind of keys you into where birds are at, especially if they're not gobbling a whole bunch or gobbling at all. Sitting those road beds, if you have the patience, do some blind calling, soft calling, it could work for you. I know, Andrew, you tried that last week and had no success.
Didn't work.
Yeah, but really those are the two things. I don't really think it really matters if you're going to be high or going to be low. The biggest thing is trying to get somewhere slightly higher in elevation to listen for them to gobble on the roost. And then if you don't hear anything, start working yourself into position where turkey should be at. And again, mixed hardwoods and pines, straight hardwoods, bigger pines, not like really tight, thick pines, but looking for scratching. Like, that's the biggest thing. I feel much more confident if I'm in an area and I'm finding a bunch of scratching than an area that just looks really turkey, but I'm seeing zero evidence of turkeys using the area a whole bunch. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, I responded to him on Facebook where he messaged us, and I said kind of the same thing. I just said that since he's a newer turkey hunter, I would recommend buckling down on an area, but only after you find the sign. Like I said, it's been kind of, at least, especially for me, you've had a better year than I have when it comes to hearing birds. But like most hunts that I've been on this year, I haven't heard a gobble, I don't think. So it's just been a really slow year, but I'm finding the tracks, I'm finding the strut marks, I'm finding scratch and things like that. So I'm around turkeys, and I just haven't found the one that just wants to run down the gun barrel yet. But like if you're a newer turkey hunter, I think it would be better if you just found that sign and locked down in an area and just hunted those turkeys rather than try to like run and gun and strike a bird and everything. Because I think you'll learn more doing that. Would you agree?
yeah, I mean, to me, you just kind of like you've been trying to run and gun a whole bunch this year. I haven't really tried to do that, and it's worked out. At least for opportunities. Because the one thing I've come to realize, I told you this, I told Thomas this today on the phone, I think in a lot of these spots, turkeys are not super far off the roads.
Yeah.
Like they're not, like you don't have to walk in 2 miles or a mile to go get on turkeys. Like there are turkeys right there. There are gobblers within hearing distance of where you're parking your truck in a lot of places. And it's just, but a lot of those turkeys have been absolutely harassed. Like I feel bad because like one of my best spots, I've bumped two birds in there, shot at one, missed them. I mean, like, they ain't acting right. Last time I went in there, which was last Thursday, did not hear a bird all morning. Dropped down, worked my way through a creek bottom, kind of running around in an area I haven't gone through before. Ended up finding some sign and ended up busting another gobbler because I was calling and moving a little bit and never could hear scratching, never could hear him drumming, never heard him gobble. And then I slipped up over a ridge point and I stopped. I was like halfway up over the top of it, kind of coming back into another bottom, floating into the creek. And I heard what sounded like scratching. I was like, oh crap, there's a turkey here. And it's like 11 o'clock. Stood there for a second. And I could keep hearing it. And I was like, crap, I was like trying to slowly pull my face mask up, which really does not matter at that point. And I heard it kind of start running. And I looked down and it was within gun range, a gobbler. And he kind of like trotted off and kind of went up the ridgeline. But he never gobbled. Like he was within hearing distance. If he would have gobbled somewhere in that area that morning, I would have heard him, no problem. And I never heard a single bird that morning. I've had a few mornings like that this year where I haven't heard absolutely anything. But even on the days I'm not hearing something, I'm typically seeing turkeys. Like I called in a hen earlier that morning. And I'm still seeing turkeys. It's just they don't want to respond, or they don't want to gobble on the roost.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because I've been running gunning a lot more, and I think that's probably the reason that I'm not hearing as many gobbles. Is I'm just covering a lot of ground and I'm not hanging with them, because like this morning was a good example of this. When I went out this morning, I set up and I didn't go very far from the road, and I'll be danged if one of the turkeys that gobbled this morning wasn't probably within eyesight of my truck. And he didn't gobble till a little bit later in the morning too. It was 6:20, which sunrise here is at about 6:20-ish. So it had been good. I mean, it was getting gray light at like 5:45.
Yeah, that's when they've been starting to gobble, 5:45.
Yeah, 5:45 is kind of gobble time, and he didn't gobble till 6:20. But he was right up there by the truck. Now I wasn't far, like I could still hear him, but I feel like I'm walking past a lot of birds when I do that. Now I know that, and the reason I'm continuing to do it is because I'm just trying to like find a bird that wants to do what I want him to do, and so I'm just trying to cover ground. But we're getting to the point in the season now where I'm gonna start locking down. But the reason I say this for Joseph is, like I said, when you're a newer hunter, I feel like it's just better when you lock down in an area like that. I feel like you're gonna end up learning more, probably having more encounters, probably hear more birds, but also just you learn how to hunt like one little spot. Like you kind of learn how the turkeys want to be in there. Like, because if you go and hunt the same spot 4 or 5 times, and you are hearing gobbles, like they start talking a little bit, or you're just seeing birds, or you're seeing the sign, you kind of get a feel for how they're moving in that area, and then you can take that and apply it in other places. And so I think that's going to be helpful. And then also when it comes to landscape features, one of my absolute favorites for turkeys, and this is Kyle killed his bird in a spot just like this. I've killed several in spots just like this, but it's like a big, what I call a landscape saddle. We talk about it all the time with deer hunting, but it's where there's 2 creek drainages that are, running up in the ridge systems, and then they kind of peter out, and there's a saddle right there that connects them. And those big saddles, specifically, I'm not talking about a saddle like on a long ridge point that's just right in the middle of that ridge. I'm talking about where if you look at OnX and you look at the little blue dashed lines that are showing you where the creeks are at, you find where 2 of those are going uphill and then they kind of stop and there's a saddle between them. A spot like that's really good because those turkeys use that saddle just like the deer do. And they go back and forth through it. And I was looking back at the map. Kyle killed his bird right in the middle of one of those.
Yeah.
And they like to roost around them. They like to strut in them. They use it to go back and forth between 2 creek drainages. So that's always a good spot. And the first turkey I heard gobble this morning was right in the middle of one of those on the roost. So.
Yeah, blind. I'm not trying to get super into the weeds of terrain for turkeys because I think a lot of people are like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But for blind calling, I do like those spots for blind calling. I killed 2 of my birds in spots like that last year. One reason is because you're able, even if you soft call, you're able to cast your calls off down both of those drainages, which those turkeys could be up in those, scratching around, or just traveling through it. And there's this natural point for them to come up to the very top right there. And you can, some of them, if they're steep enough on the sides, you can set up and still not have a very far shot, like inside 40 yards. Some of them are a little bit bigger and it's a little bit harder to set up on them. So you need like vegetation or something to kind of conceal where the turkey can't see you until he's within 40 yards. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things. Like if I find a spot like that on the map, I know there's turkeys in the area, I'll just set up and blind call in a spot like that and soft call and just hang out for an hour.
Yeah. I'd be curious about people in the comment sections, specifically from Alabama, about how your season's been going so far. Because what I've noticed is everybody I know who's hunting, say, south of Montgomery has had a pretty good year. And most of the people I know north of Montgomery have had kind of a lackluster year.
Yep.
So I'd be curious to hear what everybody's thoughts on that are in the comment section. So y'all let us know. All right. Let's hear this snake story.
So I forgot to say this on last Thursday's episode, but one of the hunts I'd been on in the last 2 weeks, ended up hunting with Thomas. We got on a bird earlier that morning we struck crow calling. Ended up never could get the bird to respond to any kind of turkey calls. Ended up just losing them. He had to go back to the car because he had a work call. He had to hop on. So I ended up working a creek system for like 3 miles and then cutting back up to the truck. And I was going through the creek system. First of all, I was finding gobbler sign, like tracks, big tracks. But I was crossing the creek, or getting close to the creek, and the creek had a bunch of river rock down in it. And I had to step over a log. And I've always talked about this. I've talked about this on the podcast, and I've always told Thomas and other people this hunted with me. When you step over a log, I'm always real cautious. Like, if the log is not firmly on the ground, looking underneath the log, kind of like from an angle, 3-4 yards away to see if there's anything underneath it, snake-wise. And then also before you step over, look as well. And I never did that. So there was just a big log laying there, and I was so tired, dude. It was hot, it was crap. And I took a step over my right foot. And the second I put my foot over the log, put my boot down, I felt something underneath my boot. Like shit, like move.
No.
Like I stepped and I felt something shift underneath my boot. And I'm like, I was like, that's not good. And dude, I look down, and I'm standing right on top of, the snake was probably 4 feet long. First thing I realized was like big black snake. And I'm like, okay, well, I first looked at like fast processing. I'm like, oh, it's a rat snake. Like super fast. I'm milliseconds. Stepped on, I was like, oh crap. Well, then it spun its head around and had its mouth open. I'm like, maybe it's not a black snake. Maybe it's not a rat snake. And I freaking jumped, dude. I was straddling the log, one leg over, right leg over, left leg not. And it had its mouth around and opened its mouth up, coming back towards my boot that's standing on it. And I just lunged to the right. I mean, full-blown Superman onto these rocks. And I hit the ground, and dude, I'm all busted up. fell on all these rocks, and I look back and the snake, just boogied out of there. And I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, that is it's a black rat snake. The second I stepped on it, I was thinking rat snake, but had opened his mouth, came back towards my boot. I'm like, maybe not. I'm like, let's get out of here.
Oh,
but dude,
yeah.
it jacks me up. Like it got me worked up, but also I was like, dude, I was so busted up because my knee landed right on a big rock, and I don't fall super gracefully. And especially in that moment, I mean, I just dove out of the way.
Hit the deck, boy.
I mean, dude, it was quick. Quick reaction time. But
is that the first snake you've seen this whole season?
No, have yet to see, knocking some wood, yet to see a venomous snake. I've seen one other, I saw a black racer earlier in the season, that's it. So it's the only second snake I've seen.
Dang, man. Yeah, I've been looking out.
I tell people this, you don't have to worry about seeing them if you don't look for them. Hot tip from Jacob.
Hey, the other thing, when you're stepping over a log, do you ever do this? When you step over the log, don't just put your foot over the log, step on top of the log, and then step off the backside.
I do that in some circumstances, especially if if there's brush around the log, I do that every time, and I make sure I clear that log by about 4 feet on the other side. Standing on top of the log and then hop off. I don't do that if I'm trying to be kind of quiet, because I'm like, I don't want to be, especially if it's a big log, I don't want to be 2.5 feet higher, standing higher up and then, step back down on a big stick or something.
Yep.
But, no, I mean, I'll do that sometimes, especially if it's more so where I think there might be a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I haven't seen a rattlesnake yet, knock on wood.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one yet. I did see one out in the area that we're hunting last year that could have bit me and chose not to.
Yeah.
So that was nice of that snake.
Yeah. But no, that's the only one I've seen so far. Or that's the only one I've had like close encounter with. I mean, dude, it scared the fire. I mean, dude, it's like I stepped on it, and to give people like a physical idea of what it felt like. That's the first snake I've stepped on in a long time. But like you stepped on it, and you felt something move, and then like when you try to put weight on it, like your ankle rolled because it's like soft. Like it's not like stepping on a rock or a log. Like you stepped on it in your ankle.
There's so many people listening right now who are like, ooh.
Yeah, kind of like kicked over. And dude, let me tell you something else funny. So I've had this happen multiple times, dude. And when it happens, dude, I lose it. Straight up lose it. Especially walking through like grass. That's like, knee, thigh high, something like that. And you're walking and all of a sudden you step on something and you feel it vibrate on your boot. Have you ever had that happen?
No.
Really? Oh, I've had that happen.
No, I've had it where I've stepped on things and something swings around and like hits you in the leg. That gets me.
Yeah, I've had that too. This scares me more than that. And like this happened in Florida. I was walking through a spot. I forgot about saying this, but like walking through some of that palmetto crap, and you step, and you just feel something like literally like just vibrate on your boot, like that. And I'm like, you think it's a snake rattling its tail or something? And like, I remember the first time it happened. I was probably in high school, and I was walking through a fallow field, and it happened. And I swear it was a snake. I just booked it. I'm like, it ain't gonna bite me because I'm moving way too fast. But what it is because I've seen it have had happen a few more times. And when you step, there'll be like a stick laying there. That's like when you step, you like come across the front of the stick, and it's got to be like a pretty hard stick. And when you step on it, like your boot, the rubber of your boot will like rub on it, and like it'll feel like a vibration when you step down on it.
Okay.
Scare the fire out of you. But I've had that happen, and like that, it's not a good feeling.
It's gonna be a no.
I might please be a stick every single time.
Golly.
At some point, it might not be.
Yeah, we ought to do a podcast on snake stories sometime. Have some good. I bet there's some good snake stories out there. People got. Actually, speaking of that, we got a podcast episode with a guy who's got some great snake stories.
Yeah,
Florida man.
Yep.
So that's gonna be coming out sometime in the near future. Really excited to release that one. The Patreon members actually already have access to it right now, so don't want to spoil it. But all you Florida guys, it's what all of you wrote in and asked for an interview. You all asked for the same person, and we went and interviewed him.
Yep.
It's on Patreon right now. Go check it out.
Hey guys, it's Jake from the podcast. Got a quick tip for you when it comes to turkey calling, especially if you're a newer turkey hunter that's not as experienced, and that is using covert calling that we learned from Coach Ron Waters last year out of Alabama. And that's what helped us kill 9 birds in Alabama between 3 of us. And again, a lot of those on public land. You don't have to be a great caller like I mentioned, and all it is super soft calling at like a 20 to 30, maybe 40% volume level when it comes to calling. I really like a friction call to do that, doing soft clucks, purrs, and yelps. So working that in along with scratching the leaves worked extremely well for me last year, along with my brother Thomas, and then even Andrew. So again, covert calling can really work for you. It's also nice to have a call that you have a lot of control over, especially at lower volume levels. And that's where the Dixie Hen custom ceramic pot call from Houndstooth Game Calls really works out great for me. I love this call. Again, it helped me kill 8 birds in Alabama, or be part of 8 birds dying in Alabama, 4 from me and 4 from Thomas. Then Andrew also killed one using the Dixie Hen custom ceramic. If you want to check it out, go to houndstoothgamecalls.com and use the code Southern25 for a discount on your order. Really love these calls, guys. I think you'll enjoy it too this spring.
So it might be the off season, but we're still always thinking about whitetails. And if you're looking to get more mobile this fall and you're looking at saddle setups, the 2 most common designs you're gonna see are a single panel design or a double panel design. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. A single panel design is gonna be more comfortable right out of the box, while a double panel design is gonna be much more adjustable and customizable to your fit. We always say on the podcast, saddles are kind of like boots. Different people are going to like different things. As a general rule of thumb, I found that heavier set guys typically like a single panel more than they like a double panel. But other than that, it's just really a matter of preference. I personally use both of these saddles. This is the Method 2 from Latitude, and this is the Lone Star from Latitude. I will say that the Method 2 is really nice because it's a 2-panel design. It's almost like you have a built-in back band that'll take a little bit of pressure off your back when you're sitting down. But if you're just getting into saddle hunting and you want something that's extremely comfortable right out of the box, the Lone Star is going to be your go-to. It has an advanced hip pinch reduction system in it, so right out of the box, this is going to be very comfortable, and you're not going to have the hip pinch issues that a lot of people have when they first get into saddle hunting. So if you want to be more mobile this fall, check out latitudeoutdoors.com to see these 2 saddles and a bunch of other mobile hunting gear. We've enjoyed them a lot, and I think you're going to enjoy them too. All right, guys, we're out here today. Got a little in the field tip for you. We're scouting this fresh clear cut. I think this was cut sometime in the spring. We identified this using onX's recent imagery layer. This image is about 2 weeks old. They update this every 2 weeks, so you're getting brand new satellite images. So we were able to find this beautiful clear cut. I mean, look at this. This looks like where a lot of big bucks get killed in the South in rifle season. So we're actually using this tool along with the topo map to walk and look at this low spot over here to see if we can find a good rifle setup for when the rut comes in a couple weeks. So we're gonna walk over there and check that out. In the meantime, if you want to access this or any of the other features available with the onX Elite membership, use the promo code Southern and you can get 20% off.
Speaking of Patreon, are we doing any hunter hangouts anytime soon?
Yeah, doing one this Thursday when this episode comes out. Actually, no, we're not doing one this Thursday because we're going to be in Georgia. Yep. I'll just try to put a post out, try to get one done tonight. But yeah, doing our hunter hangout meetings on Patreon, which are fun. Did one maybe 2 weeks ago, all about turkey hunting. And it was actually pretty interesting because sometimes when we've done them in the past, like last spring, was doing them in the springtime. And like 90% of the guys did not care anything about turkeys. The last couple we done, or last one I did, everybody was very interested in talking some turkeys, which made it fun. So, but yeah, so Patreon, again, we'll have a link down in the show notes below. Y'all can join Patreon for some of those hunter hangout meetings and also early access to some of these episodes because that Florida one is very good. Very, very good, especially if you're a deer hunter hunting swamps. But I'm trying to think if I got another. Now you got me thinking about snake stories. If I've had any other crazy. Oh, the only one I think of, just that day we went deer hunting in a certain part of Alabama. Archery hunt. Walk in, kind of hunting a swamp. And it started out probably like in the 40s that morning and got up to like the 70s or 80s. And
actually, dude, that's a good example of a story because, knock on wood again, I see way more snakes in the fall than I do in the spring.
Yeah.
Like on those warm days. Mm-hmm. So like the day you're talking about, we walked way back in the swamp and it was like 40 degrees. Mm-hmm. We get back in there and it warms up to, I think it was like high 60s that day maybe low 70s. And, but it was sunny. And dude, when that sun came out, the snakes were like everywhere. We saw what'd you say? We saw a cottonmouth back there that had shoulders or something. Yeah. Like, dude, he was big.
Dude looked like a Louisville Slugger baseball bat. I mean, that sucker was thick.
Yeah, we were trying to cross this little levee in a swamp, and like usually when there's always a snake on those things, like a little levee or a beaver dam. and there's always a snake on it. And usually, even a cottonmouth, get you a big long stick, and I'll like flip them off with it and just like toss them in the water, and they'll swim off usually. Because like the thing's only 5 feet wide that you're walking across, so you got to go past the snake, and so you can just like get rid of them like that. So I tried to do that with this snake, dude, and he was gigantic. He was thick, and I remember trying to move him with a stick. I'm like, whoa, he's heavy, you know, and flip him into the water, and he swims away for like 6 feet, and then he turns around and looks at us, and me and you were like, whoa, and then he just books it straight at us, dude. I wish there was a camera on us when that happened. We probably looked like the two stooges trying to get off that thing. We're like falling all over each other.
Well, see, it wasn't even that. We saw another small water moccasin, a couple other like banded water snakes, and then I had one. We were walking back out that afternoon, and also I think that was the day you got a leech on you.
Yeah, it was the same day.
Try to cross a little creek and sunk down in the mud, came back up, and you had stuff in your pants.
Yeah, that was like the
Tiffany probably didn't appreciate that.
That was the part of the creek where it was like 1 inch deep, and it looked like it was just muddy. And I was wearing knee high boots. I'm like, let me test this out. So I'm expecting to sink down into it, and I put my foot into it, and I put some weight on it, and I think I'm gonna go probably like maybe up to my ankle, a little bit higher. No, I go straight to the crotch. I mean straight. I mean like quicksand. And yeah, when I came up out of there, I had freaking leeches on me, on my leg.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was a day right there, boy.
But
that was a day. That was a deer hunt.
They almost stepped on a snake on the way out, which I think it was just a banded water snake. But we were walking out, and it was like a little water flat. There was some water there, but not much. And I was again hot, tired, talking to you, and all of a sudden, like we stopped. I just like looked straight down, and there's a snake coiled up 6 inches from my boots, and scared the fire out of me. But again, it was a banded water snake, and it just took off. And I was like, God, I'm like, let's get out of here, dude.
Something about those warm days in the fall, man, just brings them out.
Yeah.
I see way more snakes then. So I don't really have any like good hunt stories as of lately. I mean, it's been slow, dude.
No, I mean, I don't either, but
it's been slow.
But like, kind of like with Monday's episode, we had Todd Bigby on the podcast, and you know what's funny? Thomas was like, "Man, does he come from like a famous family or something like that?" And I'm like, "No, what do you mean?" He's like, "Man, that Bigby sounds like it's like a name I know, like it's kind of famous." I'm like, "You mean like from the Tom Bigby River?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, is Tom one of his uncles?" So I'm like, "I've never asked him. I don't know."
Big. Oh my gosh.
But anyway, kind of the whole idea of him growing up in like the 70s, hunting with Doug Camp, Coach Ron Waters, his dad Shorty Bigby, and a bunch of other guys. The whole idea of like hunting a turkey for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We had some interesting comments on that because some people were like, "Man, I just because of work schedules, I don't have a chance. I can only hunt 2 days a week. I got to kill them then." It's a little bit different than like those guys back then who lived close to where they turkey hunted. Would hunt every morning of the season for a couple of hours and then head off to work. Mm-hmm. I was thinking more and more about that. Like, I think it's an interesting strategy, but also for the average guy who has a normal 9 to 5 or, some kind of job they're working 5-6 days a week, and they don't live very close to where they turkey hunt at, it's almost like it's not really possible for a lot of those guys to necessarily do that and keep tabs on them.
Yeah, it just depends on how close you live to your hunting area and how close it is. Like if you go to the office every day, if it logistically how that works out. Because like I used to do that when I was still working my old job. I would hunt in the mornings, and I could only hunt till about 8 o'clock. Some mornings I could push it to 9 o'clock. Really, I could only hunt till like 7:30. But on the days I worked at home, I'm only 10 minutes. My club, the whole reason I joined the club was really to turkey hunt because it's 10 minutes out my front door. So I could go out there, and if I had to be at a meeting at 8:30, on Zoom or whatever at the house, I could hunt until about 7:30 before I needed to like get out of the woods, get in the truck, drive home, change clothes. And usually like I wasn't killing it. Sometimes I killed one turkey last year at like 7:30 doing that. Mm-hmm. But usually it was not like the first turkey I shot out there last year. I had heard that bird 2 different days that week, or heard a bird where he was 2 different mornings that week, and I had to back out because I just didn't have enough time, like Todd was saying. Didn't have enough time to go hunt him, and then I went in on Saturday morning when I had time and killed him right off the roost. And then like a week or 2 later, the second bird I killed out there, again, same thing. I'd been hearing birds, and I'm hunting in it's like little chunks, like little baby bites, where I'm only hunting again until like 7:45, maybe 8 o'clock, and heard him a couple times, eased up there, killed him at 7:30, 7:45, something like that. So I mean, it can work, but I was 10 minutes away from where I was hunting. If you're like 45 minutes from where you're hunting, that gets complicated, because then you could probably still go out and listen if you really wanted to, which I would definitely recommend, because I've done that too, where some of the public areas that I hunt are a little bit further away than the club, you know, and so I could go out, and I might not even like get out of the truck with a gun or whatever, but maybe get out and just listen on like a Thursday before the weekend, or Thursday or Friday, just go out and listen, stand there till 6:45, 7 a.m., and then leave and get to work. So that way, hopefully you hear something that day, and you're not just going in completely blind on Saturday morning. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on where you live.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I don't know. It'd be also interesting getting comments from guys like, how far away do you live from where you turkey hunt at? Mm-hmm. Because if I had to guess, I would say most people are probably 45 minutes to an hour, probably from where they live to where they turkey hunt. Some probably further than that. But like, I think about growing up, like my uncles and all their buddies, like all their clubs were not close. They were, a couple counties over. So if they were going to go hunt, it was a weekend endeavor, or they had a day off during the week and they'd just make the drive and hunt all day. Which again, just makes it tough for, people like that. If you live in a little more suburban area and you don't have land close by where there's private land access, private land, you have, permission to hunt on a release or club or public land super close, it makes it super, super tough to be able to do that. But going back to Todd's episode, I found that real interesting. And then also, I found it interesting on, like, he was talking about, like, their clothing that they would wear back in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Back before, hunting camouflage is really widely available. And he's talking about, like, seemed to wear a bunch of brown corduroy pants, which I was wondering, like, why corduroy? Like, is it a texture thing? Does it have, like, a dullness? I don't know. Like,
I think that was just in style in the 70s.
But I mean,
wearing it.
Of all other kind of styles, I found that interesting, and then also how they would tie dye like dyeing the clothes, dyeing the surplus military clothing. I was like, that's pretty interesting. And it was funny because we had that episode come out right after we just did Coach Ron and Mr. Bo Smith, and Bo's wearing, some of his, old military clothing.
Yeah.
And brown pants. And he's like, that's what I'm hunting. He's like, just that? I'm like, I bet you are cooking when it's one of these 85-degree days.
Yeah, no doubt. That's kind of what I was thinking when we were interviewing. I was like, that jacket looks uncomfortable when it gets hot.
Yeah, it gets warm.
But I used to hunt in a jacket just like that when I was a kid. I had I think it was the exact same jacket. Like, it has the big pockets on the front. It's like the military camo and everything. And I still got a bunch of those old clothes in my closet. I was actually looking through them this morning, like some of my dad's old hunting clothes and everything, and some of my great-grandfather's old hunting clothes.
Great-grandfather?
Great-grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe we ought to, like, show it. Do a little show and tell or something on the show. I love old camo like that.
Or just make it like you try to go kill you something wearing some of that stuff. It doesn't have to be a turkey. You go squirrel hunt or something in it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I've still got some of my great-grandfather's old, it's like a LL Bean game jacket where it's got the game pouch in the back of it and everything. And back in the day, it was probably a really nice jacket, but it's like so tattered and old from where they hunted in it so much. But they were all quail hunters, man.
Yeah.
They were not turkey hunting back then.
Well, that was something that Todd brought up as well, is how his dad and Doug were really quail hunting more earlier on, and then kind of get into like the 60s they started turkey hunting just because there wasn't a lot of birds. And it's interesting to kind of hear that, because then you hear other people like Coach Ron, his granddad was turkey hunting back in the 20s and then the 30s before he got killed turkey hunting. And it's like you find these little pockets of like where there's always been birds and where there's always been guys hunting. Like there's a guy we're going to hopefully at some point interview from South Alabama. And his dad was like that, World War II vet, his dad's buddy, another older gentleman. And they were killing turkeys back in like the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s all the way up until the early 2000s. But they were an era that always had birds. or always had some birds. And he was telling me, I won't say who it is because getting excited to have him on, but he's like, when he was a kid, hunting when he was 8 years old, and he's 72 now, hearing like a couple birds a season was like a really big deal, and they'd kill like maybe 1 or 2 a season. But he's like, now it's like nothing. He's like, we go out there and he's like, you might hear 4 or 5 in the morning. He's like, that never happened back then, but we were still finding and killing turkeys.
I would love to hear 4 or 5 in the morning right now. I heard 2 this morning, and that was pretty good compared to what it has been.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they only gobbled on the roost, and then they shut up, and I don't know. It is what it is. I want to ask. I was thinking about it when I was sitting out there this morning. I'm like, I need to ask the next person we interview, like what they do when it gets like real slow and just kind of quiet like this. Because by this point last year, you'd already started killing some birds.
Yeah, killed my first on the 18th, and the 4th was on the 26th.
Yeah, I think that I'd already killed. I think I'd already killed one at this point last year. So, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's been tough, man.
Has anyone killed one on the club yet?
No.
Nobody has killed one.
Nope. Nobody. Actually, the other day, when I went out, I found a road bed that had dust bowls, tracks, and strut marks in it, all fresh. And I actually put 2 different cameras out. One, like right where all those strut marks were, and then there's a bend in the road, a couple 100 yards up, and there's more dust bowls right there and gobbler tracks walking past it. So I put a camera on each of those spots just to see what was coming through or when they were coming through. And, man, it took like 2 days, or that afternoon, a hen came through and dusted. And then since then, I've had a couple more hens come through and dust. I haven't had a gobbler walk by that camera yet. Today, I had a jake walk by it, but no gobbler. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I was kind of worried about the club actually last year because last year I didn't see any jakes and I didn't see any poults in the summer. And I was out there a good bit in that early summer time frame when you should see some poults, and I didn't see any. I did see a gobbler out there a couple weeks ago, but couldn't do anything with him. He was with a hen. But speaking of the club, I'm actually getting out of the club this year. So I left it. This is my last turkey season in the club. Looks like I'm going to get in a different one. Another one close to the house. But talked to the president of that club today, and they're doing some different rules on that place that ought to be interesting. So we'll see. But
join with about 25. Oh, I got a good story for you too. But join and have about 25 members in that club that all listen to the podcast or watch the podcast.
I don't know if they do or not. The guy said that he's probably gonna need some members because he's changing the rules from what they used to be, and he feels like they're probably gonna drop some people with the new rule changes. And so he's like, hey, I might need some members. And I was like, I could probably find a couple people for sure. So I told him to count me in though. So we'll see. Hopefully.
What about Colton?
I don't know if Colton's gonna join it. I think Mike's gonna join though. So we'll see. I'm excited to put my boots on some new dirt though. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, so speak about listeners. I think I told you this, but I went out to a Mexican restaurant with my dad last week, and when we were leaving, we were walking out. Place was packed out. We were leaving, walking out, and had to walk down the side of the road to get to the truck. And we were walking out, kind of along the side of the building. And I hear some people like run up behind us, and I hear, "Hey sir, hey sir!" And I was like, 2 kids. I was like, what's going on? I turned around, it was two young boys, probably like, I don't know, 12 years old, baseball uniforms. And I'm like, oh, maybe they got a fundraiser or something going on. They were asking me something. Come up, they're like, man, we love your podcast. We watch it all the time on YouTube. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, y'all turkey hunt? Like, oh yeah, we turkey hunt, deer hunt. And one kid, the littler the kid, it was one of them's name's Braxton. I can't remember the other guy's name. I think his name started with a T. But anyways, the one other kid was like, man, I love squirrel hunting. I'm like, with or without dogs? He's like, oh, with dogs. We hunt with dogs all the time. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Man. But anyways, that was pretty fun and interesting meeting them. But I mean, yeah, 2 young gentlemen, young boys came running up talking about the podcast. I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, glad your parents let you watch it.
That's awesome. Yep, try to keep it clean so the kids can watch too.
Yep.
That's one thing we talked to old Cuz about a good bit. Which part 2 of our episode with him actually just dropped this week, so go check that out. Fistful of Dirt podcast.
Oh, I haven't even listened to that.
Yeah,
The second one.
yeah. So that one dropped this week on the Fistful of Dirt podcast. Find it Apple, Spotify, anywhere else that podcasts are found. Speaking of listeners and things like that. We're kind of getting now towards the end of turkey season. We've got like 2-ish weeks left in Alabama, 2-3 weeks, something like that.
Blood pressure just rose a little bit.
Getting to the wire, son. Getting a little worried at this point, but hey, it's okay. Late season's when they want to act right anyways, at least from what y'all saw last year.
That's what we saw last year, but again, they're not acting like they did last year.
Well, we had an early spring last year. Maybe that. I know it probably didn't. Like, if we were to talk to a biologist, he'd be like, absolutely not. But I'm going to tell myself that.
Well,
and it's going to make me feel better.
Not to get sidetracked with this, with what you're saying, but this time last year, I was noticing a lot more turkeys staying up on ridges during the day, like mid-morning. Where like now it's like after fly down, they're straight in the creek bottoms. Like we talked about that last week. And that wasn't what it was like last year. Last year, like they'd fly down, they'd stay up high. It was easier to get in position on them and then call to them because you weren't like trying to call them way out of the bottom. And
well, that's one thing that I've noticed. One, I haven't been hearing a lot of gobbles at all. But also walking the ridge top roads, I'm not finding a lot of gobbler tracks, strut marks, or anything like that on those roads like I was last year at the same time. So last year at this time, kind of like what you're saying, I was hearing them gobble. They were staying on the ridges after they flew down. But also, I mean, they walk roads. They love walking a road. And I would find gobbler tracks way more often on the roads. I've been walking some freaking roads this year. I put some miles in.
I haven't hunted anywhere where there's like a lot of roads like that, so I haven't noticed anything different. One thing that we notice, and me and Thomas were talking about this, there's still a ton of turkeys. They're just not acting right because like I haven't gone out there and haven't seen one. Like pretty much every hunt I've gone, I've at least seen a gobbler. Most time it wasn't a great situation because he saw me first. And the same thing with Thomas. Like every time he's gone out there, he's seeing birds, and he's like, they're just not talking. He's like, they're there.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's pressure, but I don't know if it's anything crazier than what it was last year. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, I'm still having fun.
But going back to what you're saying, we got a few more weeks turkey hunt.
So we got a few more weeks of turkey season left, and then we're gonna be talking about deer again soon. And one thing that we're getting ready to do is a couple road trips. So we're gonna be going kind of all over the place, but we're gonna be going up, pretty much up the eastern seaboard. We're gonna be going out to Arkansas, Missouri, kind of Midwest area, maybe a little bit north of there. And then we would love to do a trip to Louisiana and East Texas. So we've got a bunch of people in Arkansas and Missouri. We got a bunch of people in Virginia. We've got a couple in North Carolina that we know about. We're trying to interview. Dude, I'm so excited about some of these. They're gonna be incredible. But we don't know like anybody in East Texas. So I'm putting the call out once again. Anybody out there who's got a good guest recommendation in East Texas? We actually got a really good one for East Tennessee the other day that I'm trying to follow up on right now. That was in the YouTube. Actually, someone recommended him in a YouTube comment, and I don't know if it's the same person or not, but he was recommended again in a Facebook comment. So I'm trying to reach out to that guy. He's a
deer or turkey?
Both. Both. But anyways, anybody in Eastern Texas that y'all know, maybe or Louisiana, man, that'd be helpful. That'd be great.
Deer or turkey? What do you want?
I mean, both.
Both.
Whatever you got, baby. Whatever you got. We'll go make something happen. So I'm excited about those trips. You excited?
Yeah.
Fired up?
Road trips, baby. Road trips, interviewing, talking deer hunting. It's gonna be fun. The one I'm most excited for is the Arkansas, Missouri trip.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's going to be some old faces.
Couple new faces
on the show. Quite a few older, guys who've been on the show before, but a little bit different circumstance getting them back on for the video podcast. So, really excited for that. But it's going to be super fun. So, we have a lot of interesting stuff kind of coming out throughout the summer, the fall. But yeah, write in any kind of recommendations you have. Specifically, do it through our email. it's kind of hard to track it on social media, but info@thesouthern.outdoorsmen.com is the email address. You can send those in. Subject line, guest recommendation. And it'd be great to kind of get some of those from you guys. And also, we try to keep tabs on if the same name comes up a few times, then from different people, we're like, okay, we definitely need to check that person out because clearly multiple individuals know of them. So, let us know that kind of information if y'all have anybody you want to see on the show. Other than that, we've got a couple trade shows we're going to be at this summer. The GON Blast, Mobile Hunters Expo in Dalton, Georgia, and then the World Deer Expo in Birmingham, Alabama. So any of y'all in the Southeast, if y'all going to attend any of those shows, let us know because we're going to have booths there and you can come and hang out with us and check out not only some of the new apparel, but come shake a hand and tell some deer hunting stories or turkey hunting stories, whatever y'all are interested in. So we enjoy them. Other than that, you got anything else?
No, that's all I got. Hopefully we're going to go shoot a turkey tomorrow. We're in this little rain pattern right now here in central Alabama where it's like scattered thunderstorms and everything. And I actually like this weather pattern for turkey hunting. I feel like it's not raining so much that it's like oppressive to the turkeys. Like I don't feel like it's messing them up. And we had a stretch of great weather last week. Like the weather's kind of how you would want it to be for turkey hunting. It was calm a lot of mornings. It was kind of cool in the mornings. Didn't get real hot in the afternoons. But it was real stagnant for like 7 or 8 days where the weather was like the exact same every day. And I kind of like it when a little front comes through and kind of shakes things up a little bit like it is right now. And they gobbled this morning. Still didn't act right, but they did gobble this morning. Maybe tomorrow. You never know. But I'm excited to see what the weather pattern does. But all that to say, when I see like scattered showers, like, we're in that weather pattern right now where in the morning it's kind of nice. And then as you get on up in the day, it'll get a little cloudy. Maybe you get a stray shower or two. But it's not like giant thunderstorms rolling across the state. It's like little storm cells. I actually love that for turkey. So we'll see. But if that's your weather pattern this weekend, everybody, I wouldn't be discouraged because I've killed a bunch of turkeys on days like these. So...
I had to go pick me up a striker to be able to run with that ceramic, that Dixie Hen custom ceramic pot from Houndstooth. That run it when it's wet, so I'm prepared.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, got to test out, see how it sounds, but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. Again, this is the time of the year that a lot of people start really dropping off turkey hunting wise. But again, it was so good last year for me and Thomas this time of the year all the way to May 7th in Alabama that I'm not super worried about. The only thing that was frustrating last year was just dealing with the temperature because it was getting really hot, but they were still gobbling good. You just were trying to get them killed before 11 because by 11 o'clock it got oppressively hot.
Yeah.
So...
Yep, definitely. Well, hopefully we'll have a dead turkey here soon. I sure hope so. We try. It's not for lack of trying, but, sometimes, hey, when you had such a good year last year, Wayne and Coach.
Everybody, yeah.
Everyone's like, you better enjoy it. It ain't always going to be like this.
Well, listen. I'm going to reiterate this. I've had opportunities. I should have had, for sure, 2 birds killed in Alabama. I had opportunities at a couple more. Just didn't try to shoot at them. So it's all on me. It ain't because of the turkeys.
That's right.
So,
hey, sometimes it be that way, man.
You just got to stay focused and point. Hey, you know what's funny? After last week's episode, I was talking about that last miss, that third miss. We had a couple listeners write in, both on the YouTube comments and also on social media and all kinds of stuff. So, like, man, I pulled a Jacob today. Oh, man, I pulled a Jake. Oh, man, I can relate. Did the same thing, blah, blah, blah. One dude, I think, messaged us, and he's like, he said, how did he word it? He's like, I pulled a Jacob today. He's like, I went all the way to the tube on one this morning, and never got him killed. And I'm like, gosh. So, or all the way to the plug, not the tube, the plug. Went all the way to the plug on the turkey, and I'm like, that's terrible. I'm at the point now. I've seen some guys miss on the first shot, hit him with the second shot, running, flying, whatever. If I don't kill him with the first one, he won. If I don't, I'm
You're just accepting your defeat.
Dude, I tried that last year. I shot at one, somehow missed him at 35. He flew. I shot at him again, didn't touch a feather. And I'm like, it ain't even worth it for me. I'm like, if I can't hit him on the ground, I'm not hitting him there.
Okay. We'll see how you say that when you miss one and he just stands there.
I mean, that's different. I'm talking about if he's running or flying like that. I'm like, dude, you won at that point. I'm sorry.
Well,
I've never shot at one that stood there. I don't know about you. You shot at one, missed it, and he just stood there?
no, I killed one and his buddy stood there, and I started to shoot his buddy, but I couldn't remember if you could shoot two in one day. That was in Georgia back when you could shoot two in one day, and I could have, but I was like, oh, this feels illegal, and I couldn't remember for sure, so I let him walk.
Gotta read
But
the
yeah, they do
regs.
that. I mean, dude, I don't know. Sometimes, especially when they're real fired up, sometimes they just stand there. I've seen it happen.
That's what Todd was saying. He's like, yeah, most of the turkeys I kill now are either running or flying because he's like calling them up for somebody else and he
Yeah.
kills the straggler. I'm like, God bless you. But then again, I'm like, well, he's shooting a lot more open choke too. If you got that's a little bit different circumstance. I was like, I don't want to be shooting that, that orange or that,
Softball
size pattern at 20 yards.
Yep.
If he goes to moving, good luck trying to hit him.
Yep. Yep. Well, you better shoot straight. You need to kill something. You got to redeem yourself.
No comment. Gotta do what you gotta do. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, appreciate everybody watching the podcast. Thank y'all for listening. Also, again, if y'all have any other questions, especially as we're getting ready for switching back to deer content in the next few weeks, if you have any deer Q&As you want to submit to the podcast, links down below. You submit a video Q&A on our website. Just, again, take a quick video on your phone, get it submitted with your question. We'll get that answered in the next few weeks. So thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you back here on the next episode from the Southern Outdoorsman. And remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.